Imagine being on the front lines of one of the most brutal battles in history, witnessing the fierce combat and destruction firsthand. That's exactly what we're about to experience as we watch rare and raw footage from the Battle of Berlin. Get ready to be transported back to the chaos and carnage of World War II, where heroes emerged, sacrifices were made, and the world changed forever. Hey there, history buffs! Today we're diving into one of the most pivotal moments of World War II, the Battle of Berlin. This epic clash marked the final showdown between the Allied forces and Nazi Germany, bringing an end to one of the darkest chapters in human history. So buckle up and get ready for a journey back in time as we explore the intense and dramatic footage from the Battle of Berlin. The air crackled with anticipation. The ground trembled under the weight of 1,000 tanks. Smoke filled the sky, a grim shroud over a city teetering on the brink. This was Berlin in the spring of 1945, a city locked in the death grip of World War II's final showdown. The battle for Berlin was about to begin. It would be a battle etched in history, a horrific symphony of destruction and heroism, forever a stark reminder of the human cost of war. The year 1945 had dawned with the shadow of defeat looming large over Hitler's Third Reich. The once invincible German army was now battered and broken. Allied forces were closing in from the west. From the east, the vengeful Red Army, fueled by years of suffering under Nazi aggression, was a mere 40 miles from Berlin. The German capital, once a symbol of Nazi power, was now a city under siege, its streets about to become a battleground. The Battle of Berlin would become a brutal testament to the resilience of the human spirit, both in its capacity for destruction and its will to, as the world held its breath, the fate of Berlin, and indeed the fate of Europe, hung precariously in the balance. Deep beneath the Reich Chancellery, in the claustrophobic confines of the delusional Adolf Hitler, clung desperately to power. The once charismatic dictator, now a shadow of his former self, refused to accept the reality of his crumbling empire. He issued a stream of increasingly desperate orders, convinced that Germany could still snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Berlin itself was a city transformed. Gone was the grandeur of the Nazi capital. In its place stood a grim landscape of rubble and ruin. Air raids had reduced much of the city to ashes. Food and supplies were dwindling. Fear and uncertainty gripped the hearts of its citizens, many of whom were now trapped in a nightmare they could not escape. Yet amidst the chaos and despair, flickers of defiance still burned. Fanatical Nazi loyalists, driven by a toxic mix of ideology and fear, prepared for a last stand. They were joined by the old and the young, conscripted into a desperate attempt to defend the indefensible. The stage was set for a final, bloody confrontation that would determine the fate of Berlin and bring the curtain down on Hitler's 1,000-year Reich. The early hours of April 16, 1945, heralded the beginning of the end. With a deafening roar, the Red Army unleashed Operation Berlin, a massive offensive that would shatter the German defenses and engulf the city in a maelstrom of violence. Over 2.5 million Soviet soldiers, backed by a colossal arsenal of tanks and artillery, surged towards Berlin, their advance seemingly unstoppable. Leading the Soviet assault was Marshal Georgy Zhukov, a brilliant military strategist and a hardened veteran of the Eastern Front. Zhukov's troops had borne the brunt of the Nazi war machine, enduring unimaginable hardships and suffering staggering losses. Now they were driven by a burning desire for revenge and a determination to see the Nazi regime crushed once and for all. The German defense, though fierce and desperate, was ultimately overwhelmed by the sheer scale and ferocity of the Soviet onslaught. The Red Army fought with a terrifying tenacity, fueled by years of pent-up rage and a thirst for retribution. They advanced street by street, block by block, their progress marked by the rumble of tanks and the deafening thunder of artillery. The battle for Berlin had begun. Section 4. Ruins and Resilience. Berlin's civilian struggle. As the battle raged, the civilian population of Berlin found themselves trapped in a living hell. Caught between the hammer of the Soviet advance and the anvil of the Nazi defense, they sought refuge in cellars and bomb shelters, their world reduced to the confines of darkness and fear. Food and water became scarce. Medical supplies dwindled. The constant bombardment, coupled with the fear of discovery and summary execution by the SS. Yet even in these desperate circumstances, the human spirit endured. Stories of courage and compassion emerged from the ruins, signed to the history books. For in the words of Winston Churchill, never, never, never give up. Write me a suitable title for this article. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.